Hey everybody, so last night in the midst of Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, big news broke, originally reported by Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic, that St. Louis Blues forward Vladimir Tarasenko has requested a trade from the team out of St. Louis and is not happy with the way that the team has handled him, and especially with his injuries over the past number of seasons, and wants to be moved this offseason. So obviously Tarasenko, a big name, a player that garners a lot of attention, and this is definitely big news heading into the offseason now, and we'll see where Tarasenko ends up playing next season if a trade is able to get done, and who it's to if he does get moved by the Blues. So there's a lot to look at here, a lot to discuss, especially given Tarasenko's history over the past couple seasons with the surgeries and the lack of production and all of that. So there's a lot to unpack here. We're going to get into it. Before we do start, I just want to ask that you please hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. It helps the channel so much and is greatly appreciated. But let's take a look here at what's going on with Vladimir Tarasenko. So Tarasenko is now 29 years old. He's a scoring right winger for the St. Louis Blues, and he's played all 9 of his NHL seasons with St. Louis. They drafted him in the first round back in 2010. He has 2 years remaining on his contract, making $7.5 million per season, and he has a full no-trade clause, which means he has a all the say in where, or a lot of the say in where he gets traded, because he would have to accept the deal and waive that no-trade clause to be able to be moved. Now, Tarasenko's had a very successful NHL career. He's been a big-time goal scorer for the Blues. However, he has had 3 surgeries since 2018. His shoulder has been a big problem. And shoulder surgeries for a sniper, a pure shooter, is a big red flag. And it's already been reported that there isn't a ton of interest out there. Given the contract, given the injuries, this is going to be a tough deal to make for the St. Louis Blues. Now, Tarasenko did have 5 straight 30-plus goal seasons from 2014-15 all the way through 2018-19. He had a 40-goal season in there as well, and was one of the most consistent top 6 goal scorers in the NHL during that stretch. However, the shoulder problem started. He had surgery in 2018. He had surgery again in 2019. And he had another surgery in 2020. And the surgeries and the injuries have really caught up to him and really damaged his availability and ability to, play. He's missed a ton of games. And it's really hurt his production. Over the past 2 seasons, from 2019-2020 and this past year in 2021, he's only played 34 regular season games. And in those 34 games, he only has 7 goals. He's got 7 goals, 17 assists for 24 points in 34 games played. But that's over the past 2 seasons. So he has missed a ton of games for the Blues, and in the games that he has played, his production hasn't been super high, and obviously the injuries have played a big role in that. So I think the biggest issue here for Vladimir Tarasenko and for a trade getting done is the fact that these injuries have taken a huge toll on him, and his production is not what it used to be. The contract is also not going to help. Now, obviously, the Blues could eat money. They can retain salary. He obviously wants out, so, I don't think he's going to... Waiving his no-trade clause isn't going to be a big issue, because he obviously wants out. Now, he does have a say in where he goes, because he could just, if they try and send him to Buffalo, or they try and send him somewhere like that, to Anaheim, he could just say, I'm not waiving the no-trade clause. I want to go to a better team. So he does hold a little bit of a bargaining chip there. However, if he doesn't want to waive the no-trade clause for a team like that, and maybe that's the only team that St. Louis has gotten to bite, they can just say, well, too bad, then you're staying in St. Louis, and you'll be here. Seattle, I guess, could be another option. The Blues could, if the Blues can't get a deal done before the expansion draft, and they think that they're probably they're not going to be able to get something done, then they could possibly just leave him exposed in the expansion draft, because it's not a no movement clause, it's a no trade clause. There's a difference. He could be moved in the expansion draft, and they could just leave him open and see if Seattle will take him. So that's another option. But obviously, you want to get something in return for Vladimir Tarasenko, not just lose him for nothing in an expansion draft. So I think they're gonna want to try and get some sort of deal done here. I just don't know what this deal is going to look like, because it's already been reported that there isn't a ton of interest out there. Teams are very worried about the injury history, and they're not going to give up a lot to get a guy like Tarasenko, who at this point is a huge question mark as to what level of player he's going to be, because of what the limits of over the past 2 seasons of what he's been able to do. It's going to be an interesting situation to try and see. I mean, obviously, we know how good of a player Tarasenko is when he's healthy. The numbers speak for themselves. He's been a prolific goal scorer. He's a great top 6 winger. When he's available, he can score. The problem is the injuries have taken such a toll on his production and his games played. If he's not in the lineup, what good is he? And if he's only going to score 7 goals in a 34-game stretch, that is not the same goal scorer that we saw that was putting up, 30-plus goals year in and year out. So it's going to be an interesting situation, and I'm sure that, if the cost isn't too high, there will be some teams out there that will be willing to take a chance on Tarasenko. But, he's pushing 30 years old. He's had 3 surgeries. His contract, he obviously at this point is not getting the production that you would want to see for a guy making $7.5 million. Listen, when he was putting up 30 plus goals and 70 points every year, $7.5 million was a fine cap hit. But for a guy that's only played 34 games and has 7 goals over the past 2 seasons, the contract isn't great either. So this is a huge question mark, and it's going to be really interesting to see if St. Louis is able to get a deal done, if they're able to find a trade partner in this deal. Maybe they package Tarasenko with other pieces and make it maybe part of a bigger deal that involves more players and more pieces, because I don't know, just trying to find a partner for Tarasenko straight up might be a little bit of an issue given his contract and injury history. It's definitely something to watch over this offseason, and I would have to think that there's a chance something could happen sooner rather than later, because obviously the expansion draft is coming up, and that's thrown a big wrench into this offseason. And they might want to get something done before the expansion draft, possibly. But maybe they wait until after, because any players that they get for Tarasenko, then they would have to protect, or might have to protect, and depending on who it is. So maybe they wait until after. I don't know. This is going to be a really interesting situation to monitor. You've got a guy who's been a star in the league, who's been a prolific goal scorer, who's had major injury issues, is still on a huge contract, but the production has not been there for the past couple of seasons. A healthy Vladimir Tarasenko could absolutely be an upgrade to pretty much any team around the league. But are you getting a healthy Vladimir Tarasenko? That is the question, and that is something that we're going to have to find out over the next coming season or two. So really interesting situation here, but it's taken a big step now that Tarasenko has come straight out and said that he wants out of St. Louis and wants to be traded. So it's definitely a situation to watch, a situation to monitor, and if a trade does happen, it's going to be a pretty significant one here for St. Louis. So we'll see how it goes over this offseason, if Tarasenko's in a Blues uniform to start next year, or if he is not. Who knows where he could end up. It's gonna be a risk. Any team that trades for Tarasenko is absolutely taking a risk because of his health. But You know, if he can get back to being a 30-goal guy, even if he can get back to being a 20-goal guy, that'd be a step in the right direction for him, absolutely, given, you know, what's happened over the past couple years. But Tarasenko wants out of St. Louis, and it's going to be a big storyline to watch this offseason as we find out if he does get traded or not. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon merchandise store donation link and channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.